Welcome back to the Garden Hutch. Today we're going to discuss some vegetables to grow in the early spring. Let's get going. By the time March rolls around, most of us gardeners are itching to get our hands in the dirt. It is worth mentioning that spring doesn't start until March 20th, but what the heck, right? Here in Zone 7B, at the beginning of March, it starts to feel like spring. So today I thought we would just take a tour around our garden spaces and discuss some of the things that we like to grow here on the homestead in the late winter and early spring. So for the last couple years, we have been adding a couple greenhouses to the homestead, and all that does is give us a chance to get a jump start on the season. This is the greenhouse that we built this year, and what we've been doing is in early January, we started some what we call cold weather vegetables, and these cold weather vegetables, they can withstand temperatures of around 27 degrees. That's kind of a frost. Once it starts getting a hard freeze around 25, most of these plants will die. But here in Zone 7B, we rarely experience that after, say the beginning of February. So what we do is we like to start our plants early at the end of, say, January or so, and then we'll move them out to the gardens beginning in mid-February. The plants that you see here that we have started in here, this is the last round of our cool weather crops. And these will be going into a new raised bed that we'll be putting in here in the next couple of weeks. So for the first round of our late winter and early spring vegetables, what we do is we just, in the greenhouse, we'll start them. Once they get their true leaves, we will move them out here. Now, cadence is something, if you watch our channel, you hear me say a lot that I'm working on this year. It's also true that I want to work on my cadence for the greenhouses. And the reason I say that is a lot of our late winter, early spring vegetables, they'll go through, be harvested, and then they can be replaced a couple times before the summertime rolls around. So things like leaf lettuces or radishes, those types of things, you're going to pull them early, you'll eat them, and that's going to create room for another round. The thing I'm really trying to work on this year is to make sure that by the time, say, end of April, beginning of May roll around, that my garden spots are ready. Last year, I kind of had things kind of willy-nilly all over the place. A lot of my spring vegetables I had to pull out to make room for the summer vegetables, and so I'm hoping to be a little bit better at that because I don't want to feel wasteful. It's also kind of a waste of time when you put so much effort into something, say like radishes, and then you don't actually get to eat the root vegetable before it's time to replace those with a tomato or a pepper. Just wanted to take a stroll here real fast through our greens garden. Now we consider our spring onions and radishes as part of our salad greens. The reason for that is we enjoy eating the radish greens with our salads, and predominantly the way that we eat the radish root is with our salads as well. So just in here real fast, you can see that these mustard greens here are coming along nicely. It won't be, a couple weeks and we'll be thinning those out so that we can add those greens to our salads. The onions down here are getting to the point where we can start pulling them for our salads. And then the bed below it is where we have our lettuces. We're growing black-seeded Simpson, and we have Butter Crunch. Both of these do really well in the early spring and in the late fall here in Zone 7B. So you can see how these radishes right here are coming along. The way we like to do this is to make sure that we have radishes throughout the entire course of the spring to eat, and none of them are in danger of what they call bolting or going to seed, however you'd like to do it is. We do ours in stages. So you can see here, those radishes were planted 2 weeks before these radishes. And then we have another row, we'll see here in a minute, that are just now coming up. The reason for that is we can eat 2 rows in about 2 weeks or so, and whatever's left we can give to friends and family. We have sort of the same idea here with the beets, but the beets are growing a little slower. I am not near as successful with beets as I am with some of the other things, but that's part of the fun of gardening, is learning how to do it. But anyway, as you can see, we sort of progress from here to these garden beds over here, this is where you'll see the last round of radishes that we've put in, and you can see they are just now coming up. And then these beets, they were also 2 weeks behind the ones that we had planted in the other beds. Ironically, these seem to be doing a little better, so I think next year we'll probably hold off an extra 2 weeks on the beets and put those in towards the end of February. These are turnip greens, and they are in about the same state as the mustard greens, which is the plan. Most of these turnip greens will be eaten as they're small. We won't let them get big enough probably to eat, to cook and eat. And we definitely won't let these get big enough to go to root. We usually wait until the fall to have our turnip roots. So we do concentrate a lot on salad greens here on the homestead, especially during the springtime. But that's not the only thing that we're able to grow. So last year we grew cabbages for the first time, and they did really well. What we've done is we've sort of taken this bed here. This is where our peppers will grow in the summertime. Taken the bed and sort of amended it a little bit because we're hoping that we can get a bit of a more rapid growth. The cabbage last year was delicious, but the heads didn't grow quite as big as we wanted because we had to have them out in time for the for the summer crops. So this year we got the cabbages in the ground 3 weeks earlier than we did last year. We also made sure that it was supplemented with a bit more nitrogen to hopefully get a quicker grow on those nice green leaves. But as you can see, for being the 1st of March, these guys are not looking too bad. Another vegetable that we have started growing in the late winter and early spring are carrots. This will be the 3rd year that we've taken to starting carrots, and you can see we direct sow these, and they are just now starting to get their true leaves. Once they get about 2 inches tall, we'll go through, thin them out. But carrots we've had a lot of success in, and to be completely honest, it's something that I have liked growing way more than what I thought. One crop that we're growing for the first time this year in the late winter, early spring are potatoes. We have always started our potatoes here on the homestead in May, and then we have to dig them out in the summertime. It's super hot and inconvenient when we have to do it. Last year, I think whenever we were trying to dig potatoes, it was like 103 with a heat index over 110. So we're taking a bit of a different approach this year. Just a couple days ago, I went ahead and put our potatoes in the ground. We're hoping that they'll be ready to go around the beginning of June. And what that'll do is that'll give this area, when we replant it in the fall, plenty of time to sort of rest. It'll also give our sweet potatoes more room to sort of encroach on the potato area as the summer moves along. I'll wrap this video up with a few vegetables that we don't grow on the homestead, but may be perfect for your late winter or early spring. Those include things like broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, artichokes, and leeks. Now, the reason we don't grow these vegetables here on the homestead is because around late March or early April in Zone 7B, we start getting a lot of moths and that sort of stuff. And it puts a lot of pest pressure on those vegetables. And to be completely frank about it, it's just too much effort for what you get from them. But of course, that's just our experience, and your mileage can and will vary. As always, I appreciate all you folks hanging out with us here till the end. Till next time, I hope you take care of yourselves. Peace.